The 2022 NBA playoffs have really been something else. I mean, looking back at history, from 2011 to 2018, there was only one team from the East which was a championship contender, and that was whatever team LeBron was on. Then from 2015 to 2019, there was only one team from the West that really had a chance of winning the championship, and that was the Golden State Warriors. 2020 was a bubble, then 2021 was full of injuries, and then here we are in 2022, where there are at least 6, 7, or even 8 teams, depending on who you ask, that could be crowned champions. Sheesh, guys. You know what? I love it. As of this moment in time, it's the conference finals. 4 teams remain out of the initial 16, and today I'm going to go over what's next for the 12 teams that got eliminated. Where do they go from here? What's next for their organization? Is it blue skies and smooth sailing for them, or are they headed for the rocks? First off, I'll start with the only team to get swept so far in these playoffs, the Brooklyn Nets. For a team that had championship expectations to start the season, getting beat 4-0 in a series doesn't look too nice, but hey, on the bright side, at least they didn't get beat by like 40 points at home in a Game 7. Anyway, although the Nets got swept, it's not like those losses were blowouts. Each game was close, and if an extra shot went in here and there, the series could have easily gone to 6 or 7 games, and perhaps the Nets would have even advanced. At this point, they just have to regroup, get Ben Simmons to finally play basketball, get Kyrie eligible to play for the whole regular season, stay healthy, and they'll be right back in the championship conversation for next year. Next off are the Chicago Bulls. They were gentlemen swept 4-1 by the Milwaukee Bucks. It's unfortunate that Lonzo Ball was injured. The dude's a great defender who, in addition, shot over 40% from three-point range this past season. But the thing is, even if he was healthy, how high would the Bulls' ceiling be? Maybe they might have pushed Milwaukee to a Game 6 or a Game 7, but that appears to be the very best. Still though, if I were running that organization, I'd get everyone back healthy, run it back, and hopefully a little of that early season dominance comes back and they prove me wrong about their potential. Next off, we have the Toronto Raptors. They lost in 6 games against a 76ers team that lost in 6 games to the Miami Heat. Presently constructed, I believe their ceiling is at best a first-round win. They can't win a championship with Van Vliet and Siakam as their best 2 players. They just can't. And they also got to make sure they develop Scotty Barnes, who has the potential to be the difference maker and franchise leader for this Raptors team. With that being said, the best thing for this organization to do is to run it back. They still have championship DNA, and depending on how much Barnes develops, they could build on their success, and maybe in 2 or 3 years, they can get back into that championship conversation. After them, we have the Atlanta Hawks. And to start this off, let me show you this stat line. 15.4 points, shooting 18.4% from three-point range, 31.9% from the field, along with 6.2 turnovers. This is what I'd expect from a G League player, but this is the first-round playoff stat line from one of the future stars of the league, Trae Young. Yeah, I think he's supposed to make the All-NBA second or third team this season, but this stat line is atrocious. This offseason, Ice Trae is going to have to take a hard look in the mirror and ask himself if he wants to just be a star in the league or a champion. I wouldn't break up this team at all. I mean, they did make the Eastern Conference Finals just a season ago, but they definitely have to go back to the drawing boards if they want to become legit contenders for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Next off, we have the 76ers. Now, before we get too harsh on James Harden, we gotta ask ourselves, if Embiid didn't have a broken orbital bone, and if he were able to play those first 2 games in the Eastern semis, would the 76ers have won that series? Maybe, maybe not. Also, as for Harden, an injured hamstring plus all the drama that went on in Brooklyn might have thrown his game off a bit. Perhaps a quality offseason plus renewed focus and motivation will bring him back to 90% of his MVP self. Next, I heard stories that Philadelphia is also trying to target Bradley Beal for a big 3. If they could somehow acquire him and keep Tyrese Maxey as well as Thibault, then the process is truly complete, and they'll be right in the championship conversation. Next, let's move to the Western Conference, and I'd like to start off with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota brought the Grizzlies to a Game 6, and if it wasn't for a few careless plays down the stretch in a few games, they had a good chance of winning that series. Anthony Edwards is a rising star in this league. I mean, I love his hustle, his demeanor, and the way he plays the game. D'Angelo Russell, on the other hand, has to go. He's getting paid $30 million a year to average 12 points while shooting 33% from the floor in the playoffs. The only thing is, which team would want him and who could you get for him? Anyway, either way, with or without him, the Timberwolves need to run it back, but take what they learned this season and build upon it. After the Timberwolves are the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets were gentlemen swept by the Golden State Warriors in the first round. For next season, however, they should make absolutely zero changes. All they got to do is stay healthy. With a healthy Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. alongside with the two-time reigning MVP, they'll instantly be in that championship conversation. And then after them, the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are, I don't want to be mean, but honestly, for the past 3 years, they've got to be one of the most disappointing teams in the NBA. I mean, this season, they have a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert, they got an All-Star in Donovan Mitchell, they got a 6th Man of the Year in Jordan Clarkson, and they also got a host of good role players. Yet, they were eliminated by a Dallas Mavericks team that played the first few games without their superstar Luka Doncic. On top of this, they were eliminated last season as well against a Clippers team that was missing their best player. Then, the year before, they were knocked out in the first round. From everything I've read and seen in interviews and reports, it doesn't seem Gobert and Donovan can work together. There appears to be too much silent animosity towards each other. For the Utah Jazz to become legit championship contenders, changes have got to be made. Next off, we got the New Orleans Pelicans. They brought a 64-win team to a Game 6 without their best player in Zion. The Pelicans need to get Zion a nutritionist to help him lose weight, and they got to get him healthy. If they do that, they got a pretty decent big three with Zion, Ingram, and McCollum. I'd say do nothing but get healthy, then run it back. Next off, we have Memphis. They had the second best regular season record, and while it may be easy to just say run it back, I wouldn't be too sure that that's all they need to do. I believe the reason they were so good in the regular season is because they're a young team that plays hard and plays with grit. But the problem for them is that in the playoffs, every team plays hard and every team plays with grit. I don't believe Memphis could win a championship with Morant leading them the way he currently is. It's too much like Russell Westbrook in OKC. I mean, even Steven Adams is there. In the playoffs, it's too easy to game plan for an athletic guard who drives hard at the rim and shoots the three ball at a below average rate. At the same time, other teams are getting better. Kawhi and the Clippers are going to be back, and so is Zion Williamson. Can we honestly say that if Memphis runs it back, they'll be legit contenders next season? I really don't think so. The Grizzlies are going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure this one out. Last off, we have the Phoenix Suns. First off here, I gotta say this. Over the past 2 decades, I can't recall a more embarrassing loss in the playoffs, and I truly mean that. Here's what Anthony Edwards said about it too.
We out of the playoffs, but y'all, this is a disgrace, bro. Like, y'all.
Anyway, the Suns have some serious questions and decisions they gotta make in the offseason. First off, they have a huge CP3 problem. Chris Paul is turning 38 next season, and he's on a contract that'll pay him $30 million a year for the next 3 years until he's 40 years old. That's all fine and dandy for the regular season, but the point guard was seriously exposed in the playoffs, and he's not getting any younger. Other teams will consistently target him on defense, and as we all saw, the strategy makes him utterly tired and ineffective when he goes on offense. Next off is the DeAndre Ayton problem. Do the Suns want to give a max contract to a player that they benched in Game 7? Furthermore, if they don't give him the money he wants, it's been reported that other teams will target him. The Phoenix Suns won't go far without DeAndre Ayton. In the playoffs, he was their second leading scorer as he averaged 17.9 points on 64% shooting from the floor, and in addition, he also led the team with 8.9 rebounds a game. What other center in the league can do what Ayton does in the playoffs? I mean, outside of the big three of Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis, I'd say that Ayton is in that second tier of centers. The question facing the Suns is, do they want to be a great regular season team or a championship team? If they want to win 60 games again in the regular season, they could probably do that, but if they want to win the championship, they got to go back to the drawing boards and rethink some things. These are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments down below, then after you're done with that, check out this video right here. It's an insane video, guys. I don't want to spoil it, so just click it, and like always, I'll see you on the other side.